Alright, what's up everyone? This is Pooka, back for round 2 with our Thanksgiving deck. So I played a couple of games of this deck, and the first one we managed to get a victory. I did play one against a round deck where I got absolutely demolished. That wasn't worth showing on a video, but this was another very exciting game. I see a Rayquaza EX. And that means probably one of two things. Number one is RayBoar. Number two is just like a speed Rayquaza, like a Quadza deck that I used to play, just for Rayquaza EX. So we'll see which one it is. I'm going to assume RayBoar, but we'll see. Alright, so going to start off with a Team Plasma Ball. Opponent says good luck, and I say you too. So we're going to play Team Plasma Ball. I could search for one of 3 Pokemon since Articuno is prized and Snorlax is in hand already. I'm going to take the Lugia. Seems like my best bet to actually somehow find a way to take all 6 prizes against this kind of a deck. And then we flip heads on Pokeball and search for Sigilyph, which is going to be very useful against Rayquaza EX. So I open up with that Hooligan's Gym and Cast, which I really, really want to play if only I had an energy. If I had an energy there, I would have played Hooligan's Gym and Cast, but instead we're going to computer search and search for the Professor Juniper here. Sorry, pretty lame, but I figure might as well just do that. Alright, so I start off, not a great hand off of that Juniper, but we're going to attach a Lightning to Zapdos and pass. Hopefully I'll be able to agility for a few turns and just prevent my opponent from knocking out Zapdos. Then follow up with a Plasma Gale from Lugia, and from there I don't really have a plan. This deck has no energy acceleration, and, well, we do have Ho-Oh and a single energy switch, so I shouldn't say no energy acceleration. It could happen at some point, but all of my attacks are super expensive, so I really need my opponent to just not set up for a while. That's really what we're going to need. Alright, so here I have an EXP share. I'm deciding where I want to put this. I can put that on Sigilyph or Lugia. And I decided to just go ahead, attach it to Sigilyph. We're going to attach the Psychic to Zapdos. And Agility, I get Tails. I could have played an Ultra Ball and played the Cedric Juniper there, but my opponent didn't play any supporters, so I actually didn't want to give my opponent a chance to guess the height of my Pokemon and draw 3 cards, potentially drawing out of a bad hand. So I opted not to search for a Pokemon and use Cedric Juniper there. But there is a computer search, and we'll see what happens now. So we can search, or she, I can't tell if it's, it's a female avatar. We'll say she, but you never know. The avatar doesn't tell you what gender it is. A lot of the male players actually do use female avatars, but we'll say she for the sake of this video. Alright, so there's an N from my opponent. We're going to shuffle in and draw 6, both sides will. And hopefully no Rare Candy, Emboar, Triple Fire, Dragon Burst knockout. That would not be good. But no, it looks like a Lightning Energy going on the Rayquaza EX. And then maybe it, unless my opponent wants to get really risky and use Celestial Roar. But it looks like that's not the case. Alright, so here I can play a Hue and discard my own hand, or I can play a Caitlyn, and I'm going to play Caitlyn and put all 6 cards on the bottom of my deck and draw 6. One of the few times where Caitlyn actually works. Alright, go Caitlyn. We're going to put down that Moltres, just to put something else down, I don't know. And then we'll attach probably the Plasma Energy onto Lugia. Losing that EXP share actually hurt me quite a bit, because again, I don't have much energy acceleration in this deck, since I play 1 copy of just about everything. And we're going to use Agility, hopefully getting heads, but no, I get tails. But my opponent only has a few cards, so as long as there's not Rare Candy, Emboar, Fire, 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 we're okay this turn. But if that does happen, we are in pretty rough shape. We shall see what happens. Alright. So, RayBoar, again, this is, I believe this is one of the strongest decks after the rule changes. I actually do like this deck quite a bit. I've played it a lot. I'm actually on a 14-game winning streak with this deck, so I do enjoy it. But we'll see if we can overcome this mighty deck. Now that Reshiram comes down, that's not going to be good for old Sigilif here, who does have Safeguard, our creepy uncle of the Thanksgiving deck. Safeguard is going to help a lot in order to like switch up the tempo here. The catcher nerf actually helps Safeguard cards because people are less likely to run Pokemon catcher. Sure, there might be escape rope or something, but fewer copies of those kind of switching cards. So those Safeguard Pokemon remain active a lot more often. But uh-oh, we see a superior energy retrieval, and that means 2 more fire will be put down onto the Rayquaza EX with Inferno Fandango from Emboar, and then we'll see a Dragon Burst for 180 on poor Zapdos, since we missed the agility flip there. Kind of a bummer, but oh well. Here is my opportunity to promote Sigilif, hopefully buy some time to build up my attackers, but at this point, it's kind of like, what do I actually have that can attack Rayquaza EX that doesn't take 5 turns to power up? It doesn't seem too likely that anything good is going to happen anytime soon, but I do have a chorus for 7. So I'll play that, and that hand does not look very good. Going to pass. I do have the Ho-Oh, so if I were to draw Hugh by chance, and be able to discard the Ho-Oh, then we can use Energy Switch, start getting some energy acceleration that could work out. Or, I don't know if I played my Ultra Ball yet. Nope, have not. So, that is an option. Computer search is gone. So my only ways, I think I only have like 3 ways to discard my hand in this deck. Juniper's gone as well. So I need to draw Hue or Ultra Ball in order to get Ho-Oh in the discard, or I just let my opponent knock it out. One of those ways. Otherwise, we're not getting energy acceleration this game. We're just manually attaching and hoping for the best. Alright. So we see a Shred Rayquaza as well as the Reshiram. Those 2 in combination are not looking good for poor Sigilif here. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. See a Tropical Beach come out. I'm definitely not attacking anytime soon. The best I can do is Plasma Gale with Lugia, but then if I do that, I just get hit with a Dragon Burst for 180, so it's not even worth it. I'll take 2 prizes and then lose 2 prizes and all of my energy. So overall, things just look very, very bad. That's all I can say about that. Alright, so let's see here. I draw a card I can't really play. Well, I can play a water, but then I can't play the other water I already have. And I have 7 cards, so I can't even Tropical Beach. I could switch and Plasma Gale here, but I don't want to. I would take 3 prizes. That would be very good. But then I would just get knocked out immediately by a Dragon Burst. And then my opponent only has to take 2 prizes, which is very simple. Just, a Shred or a Blue Flare, and then 1 last Dragon Burst. And then I lose. So I want to make my opponent do the most difficult things possible at this point. Maybe find a way to run my opponent out of energy. And we're just going to pass with that Sigilif in the active position. Force my opponent to commit 3 energy to Rayquaza. If you put 3 on a Rayquaza and Shred, then I'll be happy to knock it out with Lugia. Take an easy knockout on that. And then 3 energy disappear. Or if Reshiram comes out and uses Blue Flare, then that's 3 energy gone. Have to discard 2, so you have to probably commit more energy to Reshiram if I even don't knock it out. So we're just leaving Sigilyph active and hoping for the best. So we see a Skyla at this point. We'll see what my opponent searches for with this. At this point in the game, I have no real plan of how to win. I really don't. I'm staring down a fully set up RayBoar deck, 2 Rayquaza EX in play, all sorts of attackers that can deal with everything I have. I'm really just going to have to get lucky somehow in order to win. I'm not quite sure how, but we'll see if we can figure something out here. I don't really know. We do see Juniper off of the Skyla, so I'm not sure what that means. Maybe a superior energy retrieval is prized. We do see an escape rope, and this will be an easy decision. Just send out Snorlax. I don't want to sacrifice an EX there. Reshiram comes out, which won't be able to even knock Snorlax out with a blue flare, so I'm not really worried about that. But an Outrage followed by a blue flare would be pretty annoying, as Snorlax would go down in 2 hits, and I really don't have anything to deal with Reshiram. Articuno is prized, so that's not good for me. We'll see if we can pull anything off here. Alright, so we have a switch. Ho-Oh, an energy switch. Really? A whole lot of nothing. That is what we have here. A whole lot of nothing. And I really don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point. I can just attach an energy somewhere, maybe to Moltres, maybe to Sigilyph. Using Psychic won't even be very good at this point. Plasma Gale is 10 short of actually knocking Reshiram out, and I don't actually want to knock it out until energy get committed there. So we are just going to probably pass the turn. I can't even use Tropical Beach because I have 7 cards I can't play. I don't know why we invited Team Plasma Grunt to the party. He is not helpful at all. I only play like 8 Plasma cards in my deck, maybe like 10. So maybe it could be useful at some point, but certainly not now. Especially with the Colress Machine and the Articuno, both prized. Those are both Plasma cards. Team Plasma Grunt, you discard a Team Plasma card from your hand and then draw 4 cards. Of course, if you have no Team Plasma cards in your hand, it does nothing. You can't even play it. Bianca, draw cards until you have 6. Well, I have 7 already, so I can't play that either. So another turn of attach and pass for me. Alright, sounds good. A fire goes on to the benched Rayquaza. So I'm not sure what's going on here. See, another Inferno Fandango. I'm not sure why my opponent is going for Reshiram instead of... or going for Rayquaza instead of Reshiram here. Kind of strange. The Execute goes to the discard pile. And we see another RayBoar. I do like that RayBoar picture. That was my other idea for a Thanksgiving deck. Since the RayBoar has the entire family on it. Looks kind of cool. Well, we'll see what my opponent does. I'm really surprised that the 2 fire went on to the Rayquaza instead of just attaching to Reshiram and outraging. And we see actually an escape rope gets discarded as well. Wow. So that's a lot of switching cards gone. Something that may work out for me in the future. I could go for some kind of Hail Mary, or I try to trap something active, and then it won't be able to retreat or something like that. Yeah, 2 escape rope gone, and a switch, and I think 2 or 3 superior energy retrievals. Didn't quite catch that. Maybe just 2 at this point, I don't know. Anyway, we can attach a fire to Sigilyph, and this is probably the turn where I just switch and then Plasma Gale for the knockout on the Rayquaza, because I do need to get rid of that if Sigilyph is going to have a chance. So let's go ahead and switch. Now we can Bianca for 1. Beautiful. Alright, we get a Skyla. It's better than the Bianca in this situation. And we can take 2 prizes on this Rayquaza. Alright. Sounds good. Plasma Gale. The head of the table, getting the job done. Rayquaza does only have 120 HP, so we can knock that out in one hit. And I just wanted to point out my opponent believes this is a strange plasma variant. Hasn't quite caught on that this is a Thanksgiving special, and I am just running all random bird Pokemon. Actually thinks it's a Team Plasma deck, so that's kind of funny. Most of the Pokemon are Team Plasma, I suppose. So, I guess that's somewhat accurate. I don't really know how to respond to that. But when you see the Doduo off of the town map, you may have an idea that something is a little off here. Along with the Great Ball, and the Pokeball, and the Cedric Juniper, and etc., etc. Alright, so we see the Superior Energy Retrieval getting back 4 fire. That means Lugia is going down, and that's not good for our boys here. Yeah. Looks like 3 energy are going on to the Rayquaza EX. Not good at all. Dragon Burst is going to happen. Let's see where the 4th fire goes. It goes on to Reshiram. That's pretty smart. Knowing that Sigilyph is going to come out and you need to deal with that at some point. And oh man, get hit with an N. That's not cool. But, yeah, I'm not quite sure what my plan is at this point. I'm going to go down 2 prizes. Another fire goes on to Reshiram. That's not good. What in the world can we do from here? There's the Dragon Burst for 180. Lugia EX goes down, and we're going to promote Sigilyph, since seems to make the most sense at this point. Try to run my opponent out of energy. That is the plan at this point. Really, that's the plan. That's all we have going for us. Alright. So this catcher is huge. I get heads, and bring out that Emboar. It's got a 4 retreat cost. Might as well try to stall it in the active spot, and then we'll just use my opponent's Tropical Beach and draw, I think, 4 cards there. So that's pretty sweet. Again, a switch and 2 escape rope are gone already. Most decks don't play a ton of switching cards anymore because Pokemon Catcher is gone at this point. And we see a failed Skyla, I think? So that means there is no switch left. Or there's a misclick. Either one. But I'm going to assume there are no switches left. And if that's the case, maybe, just maybe, we can lock Emboar in the active spot and win the game via deck out. That's my motto, folks. When in doubt, deck 'em out. That's words to live by. We see the Superior Energy Retrieval getting back 4 fire. And actually, that's not good. That's very bad for me because now my opponent can just attack with Emboar and use Heat Crash, and I don't have any real way to respond to that. I may need to use Moltres and Powerful Flame or whatever it's called. That's not good. Alright, so fortunately Sigilyph will live with 10 HP, so I don't give up a prize here. But 80 a turn is going to add up over time, especially with the Reshiram on the bench. Already has 2 fire on it. And then both Rayquaza already have 2 lightning. So those are just 1 energy away from attacking me. Blue Flare is probably the one I have to look out for. We're starting to count. That was the last Superior Energy Retrieval. There's 1 lightning in play, 6 fire, and then 2 more lightning. So it's 9 of the total energy from that deck, I guess. Most play about 10. So I'm not really sure what to make of this. And I'm trying to deck my opponent out here. So I really don't want to play Getsis, even if it would draw me extra cards. That would shuffle in cards for my opponent, so I don't want to do that. Don't want to give my opponent any extra turns if I don't have to. And boy, now what do I do? I'm actually considering going with Moltres here. I can Destructive Flame, and if I flip heads, I'll discard an energy, which is very important at this stage of the game. or my opponent is running very low on energy. Maybe I can run my opponent out of energy if I hit the Destructive Flame. That's something to think about. So I can go ahead, attach the fire to the Moltres, and it's either retreat to Snorlax and pass, or retreat to Moltres and Destructive Flame here. And I think I'm going to be proactive in this situation. See what I can do. Just retreat into Moltres. Heck, we could even play the Iris this turn. Maybe next turn we can top deck something big and pull off an unexpected attack. Maybe like an energy switch so that we can attack with the Sigilyph. Who knows? But we can Iris and then Destructive Flame for 70, I think. So that's going to be my plan of action here. Then it'll leave Emboar with 80 HP. I don't know if that actually makes any difference at all. But I could Power Flame next turn for the knockout. And, oh man, Tails on the Destructive Flame. That means Emboar can attack or retreat. That one energy really makes a big difference there. I am pretty upset that did not get heads there. Trying our best. We top deck a Charon, so we can draw 3 cards here. I have a lot of cards left. I'm going to draw 3, and I get an Ultra Ball. So now this is something I can work with. We can search for a Pokemon here. There's nothing that I can really drop down and do 80 with, unfortunately. But, let's see. I'm going to get rid of the Chorus Machine, because all my Plasma Energy are in my hand. And then Getsus too, because like I said, I don't really want to play that anymore. And let's see. I can grab Articuno, and we can power that up. That might actually be my best bet. We'll grab Articuno. And then next turn we can Silent for the water. Alright, so let's Ultra Ball for Articuno, and then we can sacrifice either Snorlax or Sigilyph in this kind of a situation. Let's see. Yep, we'll take Articuno, why not? That's the only thing that can really even knock out Emboar at this point. That could use Skarmory to Swift, but then that's easily knocked out by Blue Flare. Ho-Oh won't have enough energy in time to use. Yeah, we can see Skarmory. I was looking to see if it was weak to Lightning, so that way I could take a hit this turn, and then Swift on the following turn. But no, it's weak to Fire. And alright, we're going to grab Articuno. And I could actually play Escape Rope here and send out Snorlax, depending on what my opponent sent out. That might have been a decent option here. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to send out Snorlax and just block the Emboar and then draw 2 with the Tropical Beach. So this game has gotten very weird. Sometimes, you can get into weird games with weird decks, and it's just going to come down to some scrappy situations. We see the Heat Crash knocking out the Snorlax, and all I can do is send out Articuno. I may have needed to just do that in order to actually knock out Reshiram, because I'm out of... Well, I have 1 water left, which is not enough to use... was it Frost Prison, whatever Articuno's second attack is. Don't have enough energy to actually use that. So I need to Blizzard, which will knock out Emboar, and then do 10 to my opponent's bench. Meaning Reshiram has 120 HP left, and Blizzard can knock that out too. So we're going to go ahead with the Blizzard, and take our prize. I'm probably going to take Great Ball, just so I can potentially search for something. Every small play matters at this point. I have no room for error at all, especially with the deck I'm running. Every little decision absolutely makes the difference in this game. So we're going to take that Great Ball, thinking that I'll probably need... at this point, I'm just thinking I need to survive a few turns, and then my opponent decks out and I win. That's really it. Let's see, I have 12 cards remaining. I'm not sure how many my opponent has. 2. Okay. All I have to do is survive 2 turns, and I win. Assuming there's no Super Rod or N or anything like that. if I dodge those kinds of things, I deck my opponent out with the Thanksgiving deck. And we take a victory over RayBoar. My opponent actually takes a heavy ball out of the deck, which is very strange. Now that's one less turn I need to survive. So that was a big mistake in my opinion. We'll see if there's some reasoning behind that. We see the Inferno Fandango going on to Reshiram. And that means we'll probably see a blue flare. Now that is really bad for me because now I cannot just Blizzard this Reshiram. If I do, all it takes is one energy and a Dragon Burst and I lose. So we're going to play the Elisa here. Search for a Giant Cape to thin my deck out by one card. And then, goodness gracious, Great Ball. And alright, we hit the Ho-Oh. Alright, this is one of the only things in my deck that can survive just about anything at this point. Because my opponent is very low on energy. So we can put Ho-Oh up for a turn and survive and hopefully win via deck out. That is the hope at this point. I was counting how many cards my opponent had in hand because I could actually win with a Hue if I draw into it. I really want that to happen. I don't think it'll quite work, but we'll see. We'll put down the Skarmory, and I have 9 cards left. That's fine. I'm going to put a Giant Cape somewhere as well, so I can Tropical Beach this turn then, so I can draw into the Hue. And I don't want to play the Escape Rope, because my opponent to win here would need an energy to retreat, and then 3 more to Dragon Burst for the win. So this is it. This is the final turn. Either my opponent knocks me out, or I win via deck out, and my opponent says, GG, my last superior is prize. I think my opponent actually went through all 4. But there's the Juniper out of energy, and are you kidding me? The Thanksgiving deck wins an epic, almost half-hour-long match via deck out, and I don't even think we attacked very many times at all. So happy Thanksgiving. This game made absolutely no sense. All I can say is this is just the magic of the holidays. There is no other way to explain this game. But thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I am Pooka from the Top Cut. I'll have more videos for you soon, but enjoy the holidays in the meantime, and I'll see you guys next time.